Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of Wicked Whispers, where the shadows come alive and nightmares whisper their secrets.
In late 1700, the small Puritan village of Salem, Massachusetts, became the stage for one of the most infamous episodes of mass hysteria in American history. The Salem Witch Trials, fueled by fear, superstition, and a fervent belief in the supernatural, led to the wrongful execution of 20 innocent people and the imprisonment of many more. This is the chilling tale of the Salem Witch Trials, a dark chapter in history. The roots of the Salem Witch Trials can be traced back to the rigid and isolated Puritan society of colonial New England. The Puritans, with their strict religious beliefs and constant fear of the devil, viewed the world as a battleground between good and evil. In this deeply religious context, the idea of witchcraft, a pact with devil, was not only plausible but terrifyingly real. In January 1692, the daughter and niece of Reverend Samuel Parris, Betty Parris, aged 9, and Abigail Williams, aged 11, began exhibiting strange behaviors. They contorted their bodies, uttered bizarre sounds, and claimed to be pricked by invisible pins. Dr. William Griggs, the village physician, was called to examine the girls. Unable to find a medical explanation, he diagnosed them as victims of witchcraft. Fear and suspicion quickly spread through Salem Village. Tituba, a Caribbean slave owned by Reverend Parris, was one of the first to be accused. Under intense pressure and likely severe coercion, Tituba confessed to practicing witchcraft and claimed there were other witches conspiring with her. This confession, whether genuine or forced, ignited a frenzy of accusations. Following Tituba's confession, 2 other women were accused: Sarah Good, a homeless beggar, and Sarah Osborne, an elderly and sickly woman. Both women were easy targets due to their low social status and previous conflicts with the Puritan norms. The accusations against them marked the beginning of a tragic series of events. In May 1692, Governor William Phips established the Court of Oyer and Terminer to handle the growing number of witchcraft cases. Presided over by Judge Samuel Sewell, Judge Samuel Willard, and Chief Justice William Stoughton, the court became infamous for its reliance on spectral evidence testimony that the spirit or specter of the accused was seen committing witchcraft. The first person to be tried and executed was Bridget Bishop, a woman known for her unconventional lifestyle and previous accusations of witchcraft. On June 10, 1692, Bridget Bishop was hanged, marking the first of many tragic deaths. As the summer of 1692 wore on, the hysteria only intensified. More than 200 people were accused of witchcraft, including notable members of the community. Among them was Rebecca Nurse, a respected and pious elderly woman. Despite her strong defense and widespread support, she was found guilty and executed. Even the highest echelons of society were not immune. Reverend George Burroughs, a former minister of Salem Village, was accused and brought to trial. His articulate and forceful defense, which included reciting the Lord's Prayer, a supposed impossibility for a witch, was not enough to save him. He too was hanged, uttering a prayer as the noose tightened around his neck. By the autumn of 1692, the frenzy began to abate. Doubts about the validity of the trials and the reliability of spectral evidence started to emerge. Increase Mather, a prominent minister, publicly criticized the use of spectral evidence, arguing that it was insufficient proof of guilt. Governor Phips, responding to the growing outcry, dissolved the Court of Oyer and Terminer in October 1692. He replaced it with a new court that prohibited the use of spectral evidence. This marked the beginning of the end for the witch trials. The new court, the Superior Court of Judicature, acquitted many of the remaining accused and eventually released those still imprisoned. The trials were marked by several key events and figures whose stories illustrate the depth of the tragedy. One such figure was Martha Corey. Known for her piety and skepticism of the witchcraft accusations, Martha was herself accused of witchcraft. Her calm demeanor and refusal to confess made her a target. Her husband, Giles Corey, also accused, refused to enter a plea. He was subjected to pressing, a brutal form of torture where heavy stones were placed upon him to force a confession. His only response was, "More wait," until he succumbed to the torture. Another poignant story is that of Mary Eastie, sister of Rebecca Nurse. Despite the growing hysteria, she maintained her innocence. Her eloquent letter to the court, pleading for the cessation of the trials to prevent further bloodshed, went unheeded. She was hanged in September 1692. Her dignity in the face of death, a stark contrast to the madness around her. The Salem Witch Trials were also marked by a series of confessions and retractions. Tituba's confession set a precedent, but many others, under the threat of torture or death, confessed to witchcraft and named others in the community. These confessions, often given under duress, were later retracted. The realization that innocent people had been executed based on these coerced confessions contributed to the growing disillusionment with the trials. One such retraction was made by Ann Putnam Jr., one of the leading accusers. In 1706, she publicly apologized for her role in the trials, attributing her actions to a delusion by Satan. Her apology, though heartfelt, came too late for the victims. The Salem Witch Trials left an indelible mark on American history. In total, 20 people were executed, including 14 women and 6 men, and many others suffer imprisonment, property loss, and social ostracism. The trials highlighted the dangers of mass hysteria, unchecked power, and the consequences of scapegoating vulnerable members of society. In the years following the trials, many of those involved expressed regret and sought to make amends. Judge Samuel Sewall publicly apologized for his role in the trials. In 1702, the Massachusetts General Court declared the trials unlawful, and in 1711, the colony passed a bill restoring the rights and good names of those accused and granted restitution to their heirs. The Salem Witch Trials remain a powerful reminder of the fragility of justice in the face of fear and superstition. They serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fanaticism and the importance of due process and reason. As we conclude this harrowing tale, we reflect on the lessons learned from the Salem Witch Trials. In a world where fear and suspicion can easily take root, it is crucial to uphold justice, question our assumptions, and protect the innocent from unfounded accusations. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark past of the Salem Witch Trials. If you found this episode of Wicked Whispers intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe,